Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Small School AD on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our weekly series where we visit with athletic directors at smaller schools to give them a chance to share a little bit about their program and some tips that are good for all athletic directors. Before we get started, as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. I trust them. You should trust them too. So take 3 minutes and listen to these shout outs, then listen to our great interview, and then go visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Find out all the things that they can do for you and your program. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to thank Snap Raise for their support. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed with the results? Those days are over. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online platform out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Coaches, parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. Our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids loved the videos, of course, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We'd like to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all of the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to tell your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We'd like to thank the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration for their support. This is an affordable 20-month, totally online program that also allows you to complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses. To get started, all you have to do is go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant AD did, and it was a great experience, and it'll be a great experience for you. The Ohio University Online Masters. We want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms that you will use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, scores, communication. How about student athlete eligibility and clearance? Who doesn't do that every day? Home Campus does all of this and a lot more, does it better, and it does it faster. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to say thank you to Gipper. Go to gipper.com and their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Your kids are on social media, so are a lot of your parents, and if they're not seeing content to celebrate their accomplishments and promote your program, you are missing out on a great opportunity. Manage all your social media content in one place. Go to gipper.com to get started. And we want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but typically it's from a small group that just wants to gripe about everything. Athletic surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They'll create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. It's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Small School Athletic Director on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our weekly series where we visit with athletic directors from smaller schools around the country and even from around the world. Our definition of a small school is around 300 students or so in the high school or those upper four grades. Our guest today is truly an old friend. We're visiting today with Lynne Flint. Lynne is a certified master athletic administrator. She's the director at, and I apologize in advance, I know I'm going to mess it up, Haddam-Killingworth High School, and that's in Hingham, Connecticut. Lynne and I met a couple of years ago. We were co-presenters at the NIAAA conference, and she was in our first book. She's a podcast vet and just does a great job at her school. So I knew she'd be a great guest. Lynne Flint, welcome. I'll say welcome back to the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, you and I were talking before. It's summertime. Athletic directors are squeezing in some final vacation days or prepping for fall sports. Share with our listeners a little bit about your journey and about your school, and then I'm excited to hear what tips you have for small school athletic directors.
Sure, absolutely. So, and you nailed the name. You got it right on. Haddam-Killingworth High School there. So, my job at the high school is 9 through 12. I'm the director of student activities. So, I'm in charge of all athletic activities and I'm in charge of all co-curriculars. So, clubs, proms, all that kind of stuff falls under me. So, this will be my 12th year at HK. We are, a rural school. We are the largest geographical school district in Connecticut. So transportation wise, it could take maybe upwards of 30 minutes for some of our kids to get to school on the bus. But we have a very robust program for being a small school. We call ourselves tiny but mighty all the time. We bring home some big championships, and we do a lot of things for kind of a small town school. Started out with just the athletic program when I was there, and then about 7 years in, transitioned into this role with student activities, which I enjoy very much. It helps me, meet all the students in the building, really, connect with all of them. 84% of our kids play a sport or involved in a club. So that's just a big reach for me that I can have influence on that group of students. So 84% is a pretty is a number we're really proud of. So that's something that that we really hang our hats on.
Those numbers are very impressive. The school where I was the AD for my last stint before retiring, I think we were always around that 81, 82%. 84, that's outstanding. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I think, I have been asked before, okay, so that's a big role. That's, that's a lot of nights, that's a lot of different things. And how do you get it done? I love working in a small school. I love where I am and the community that we have. I think some of the best things that have come out of this new position is when I go to the musical, when I go and chaperone proms and that kind of stuff, that means a lot to the kids. And then in turn means a lot to the parents. They see me everywhere. So it's not just at the state championship final that they see me. And my administration is unbelievably supportive, and I have modeled after them. They're at absolutely everything. We're a team, we do it together. So they know that I'm invested in them as students. So when something, unfortunate comes up, a disciplinary issue or something, I have relationships with these kids. I've seen them at their absolute best. I see them at their worst sometimes, but they know that I'm in their corner and they know that I'm someone that they can come to. And, that's the stage crew in the musical, but that's also the, star pitcher for the baseball team. So I think that with a small school comes a responsibility to really kind of become part of the community. I don't live in the community. That was definitely a choice that I made, and I would still stay with that choice because I think that there's a an AD's role can be very polarizing. You can be very popular one minute, and the next minute you are, one of the most unpopular humans there. So I made that choice to not live in the community. But that being said, I absolutely involve myself heavily in the community because I need to know what they care about. I need to know if people are upset that the JV uniforms aren't up to par, or I need to know if they're upset that the pool temperature is just too low and the kids are, complaining about it. Um, and I do that by being on the sidelines with the parents sometimes. I think it's really easy for ADs to kind of blend in and stay on the sideline with the teams and kind of keep a distance from that side of where all the passion and the spectators are, but I find that it's super important to be involved in that sometimes and to mingle and to go over there and to make sure people have access to me. And I have been able to really kind of stifle some big issues with just a few sideline conversations. Because, being able to say, actually, no, that's not really how it went, or no, that's not how we do it, squashes things like that. And that is something that I'm grateful that I'm able to do at a small school, because our numbers are not, I'm not looking at crowds of hundreds and hundreds of people. That's just not what we're dealing with. So I think that I think one of the pieces that I brought in the last 2 years that I felt was super important again at a small school is the parent liaison to me. So we have, coaches always have parent liaisons to them. So whether it's booster clubs, whether it's, parents that put together pasta dinners or stuff, I found that there was this disconnect between the school and teams because, as far as fundraising, as far as pasta dinners, as far as social stuff, they really kind of existed by themselves. Um, and I found that once I have declared kind of a parent liaison to the school, it really brought the rest of us along with it. So it kind of included administration on things, and it helped solve a lot of issues with, minor things that people were unhappy with, or just feeling like parents had a stake in the game. Because at the high school level, parents are stakeholders. And as much as we want to say, student athletes, they're young adults now, they need to be responsible, they need to tell parents, all the information, they're not. they're not they're not doing that all the time. So once we really pivoted and acknowledge, what, parents are absolute stakeholders and they do have a role, and creating a role for them that was structured and kind of an important whole that what I needed, that was something that really helped our programs. And again, I think that that's a luxury at a small school to be able to do, and to be able to have that kind of connection with the community and the parents and stuff like that.
Yeah, you bring up such a great point, and this is a great subject for another episode. We'll have to bring you back. That parent liaison, um, it very quickly, what's your secret? I'm going to say, is there a secret? What's your secret to finding that right balance of the parent is enthusiastic and invested enough and wants to help the program, but also as the parent, they have enough self-awareness to remember, okay, this is my lane, and the AD does this and the coach does that. What is your secret for making that work?
Yeah. So, I think that sometimes we live in this land with ADs where we get kind of scared of the parent role, because if you let them in too much, it could really bite you. So I lived there for a few years, and then I said, you know what, this isn't working. I need parents. We need this relationship. That role is not perfect for every parent. It's not going to be. So what we decided is that's a role that I pick as the athletic director. So I reach out to a group of parents, and say, hey, are you interested in learning more about this role? I don't say, hey, are you interested in having this role? But are you interested in learning about it? And I'll bring them in and we train them and say, this is what you would do, and this is what the expectation would be. Um, there isn't cell phone access to me. There isn't constant access to me. It is here's what we would expect you to do as far as communicating out the team. So some of my coaches are fantastic communicators and some are not. So they really rely on that parent liaison to then communicate. I have to be able to trust then that that parent liaison can communicate, but in order to do that, I have to train that parent liaison. So at the beginning, it's way more work. It's a big pull, but it has helped me leaps and bounds with the little things that gummed up my day of senior nights and the stereo being out there and is there this, that, and the other. That's what this parent liaison does now. They help organize the breast cancer awareness games, but they do it having been trained. They do it now in line with what the school expects. Um, and it's worked out really well for us.
Yeah, I love it. We always talk about athletic directors. They're the coach of the coaches. I just programmed the other night for a school, great school, very successful school. But that was one thing I talked about is, yeah, we coach the coaches, but we also got to coach the parents. We got to help them find their role. And some of them, as you just mentioned, this is going to be a great role for them, that parent liaison. And for others, hey, we're going to find you another role that's going to be a good fit for you. Great stuff. Um, Lynne, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more about your parent liaison program or about the other great programs you have, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that they can get a hold of Lynne Flint?
Sure. So it would be through email. It's just lflint, Flint, at rsd17.org. So that's always the best way. I feel like with athletic directors, we're in and out of our offices all the time. My voicemail is like kind of one of the worst places to get a hold of me. So email's the best way, and I would love to talk to,
Hmm.
anyone who would, just like to talk about AD stuff.
Is voicemail still a thing? I guess it is. Yeah.
It's my dreaded that light. It's the dreaded light that goes on that haunts
I
me.
know. And for any of our NIAAA members, Lynne's information's on the NIAAA portal, so you can check out and get that email address there. Lynne Flint, always great to catch up with you. Hopefully, we can do some more at the national conference in December, and we're definitely going to have to get you back on for a full episode. Let you share more with our listeners.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We also want to say thank you to all of our listeners and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every single week, and just about every day we try to share stories and best practices. So hopefully we'll see you next time on the next edition of the Educational AD Podcast. Boy, great stuff there from Lynne Flint, and she's from Haddam-Killingworth High School, and that's in Hingham, Connecticut. Reach out to her, add her to your network. Before we go, as always, we want to give one more shout out to our sponsors. And once again, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. The one exception, of course, is Ohio University. I didn't get my master's there, but my assistant AD did, and it was a tremendous experience. We strongly recommend Ohio University's online masters. We want to say thank you to Gipper. We want to say thank you to Huddle and Home Campus. I want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables, Hometown Ticketing, Snap Raise, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, and Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Take a moment, visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Thanks again for listening to this segment of Small School AD. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.